Welcome back to Uncharted 1 on Brutal Difficulty. This is Chapter 8, The Drowned City. So I said back in Chapter 6 that there are going to be a few points in the game where they take away all of your weapons and items, if I can actually grab onto this ledge. Sometimes grabbing onto that is a little rougher than it needs to be, but this is the first chapter of the game where the game's going to take away all your weapons, so you're only going to have a pistol to work with and no grenades. Fortunately for us, this chapter is actually pretty easy in terms of firefights. You're not going to have any real problems with this, just a couple of skirmishes. You're not really going to have another challenging actual firefight until we get to Chapter 13, so feel free to use whatever you like up until you get to that point. But this is just some pretty standard brutal firefights. Use a cover trick. I like to stand behind this pillar, because all the enemies generally like to hide out over to where I'm aiming at, over near where the gate is. And here's a lovely little thing for you all. This was actually a first attempt. I didn't die, and for the rest of the guide, I noticed that once I got past Chapter 6, I noticed that I wasn't having anywhere near as much trouble as I originally did at the start of the guide, and Brutal Difficulty really teaches you how to survive really well in firefights, whether that's from exploits like this to make your life a lot easier, or just in general learning how the enemies work. Because I never noticed certain things in the game before I started doing this brutal guide. One of them being that all of the enemies have very particular firing rates, like the shotgun dudes. If they shoot, you're safe for a couple of seconds. So if you see them shoot, feel free to get out of cover and shoot them in the face a few times. I mean, I did that back in Chapter 5 because that's when I started noticing it, but later on I started noticing that the Magnum people do that too. So if I see a dude shoot at me with a Magnum, I'm safe. Don't ask me how I managed to survive just then. Again, it's just a kind of a lucky run where you just make it through and nothing bad happens, but I'm just here. We're still alive. Everything's fine. Attempt's going smoothly. Nice flip. Really appreciate that. I love that sometimes. Whenever you hit people with magnums or sniper rifles or anything like that, they tend to do weird, awkward spins in the air, and I think that's rather fantastic. I wish more games had stupid stuff like that. Games in general having weird animations like that always make me laugh. It's one of the reasons why I like games like The Elder Scrolls or Fallout, because their physics, whenever you kill someone, are just fantastic to look at, and really appreciate that game developers, when they see that stuff in their games, instead of being proper and getting rid of them, they actually keep them in, and I think that it really adds a lot to the charm of the game when you play it. It's part of what makes games fun. So after we open up this gate, we're just going to proceed onward, and welcome to the jet ski! Don't ask me why Naughty Dog tends to do this thing where they put weird, awkward vehicle sections in their games. They obviously realized this because in Uncharted 2 and 3, they don't have very many of these. I think they have a few in 4. I haven't seen too much of it, though. But I'm going to take this really slowly, and I'm just going to use my China Lake in order to blow all of them away. So you can see I'm going to be very passive. I know where all the enemies are, so I'm just going to bide my time, shoot them before they can shoot me, before shooting the barrels and proceeding onward. There's no real reason to rush this sequence, because rushing will get you killed because you die so quickly. So just make sure you take your time, kill all the enemies as you see them, and you'll be fine. I honestly didn't think that the jet ski sections were actually all that difficult. Even the one in Chapter 12, which we'll get there when we get there, but Chapter 12 is a real treat. I can guarantee you that. There's one guy left. He's shooting at me. Alright, there we go. But the checkpoint isn't too long, though. Once we hit that ramp over there on the other side, that's a little bit right in front of me. Oh, wait, no, it's one more. I'm sorry. My apologies. I have to go through this one archway first, and then it's the ramp. My apologies. But these jet ski sections aren't that bad. I thought they were going to be way worse than they really were. And again, brutal difficulty. You think it's going to be a lot worse than it really is, but in reality it's not, so it's all nice and good. But technically I could rush all the way over to the end, and that's actually what I'm going to do at this point. But once you hit this, bam, there you go. You got a checkpoint. It's all nice and good. Now you could restart checkpoint here to not go slow and just go straight to the other end of the dock, so that you can just park your jet ski and then proceed onward. But I've decided not to do that for some bizarre reason. Would have saved me like 20 seconds. Not that it really would have mattered. I could have just edited it over there. So yeah, I guess that's probably why. So now we're at the last relatively challenging firefight of the level, and this one's kind of a lengthy one, so You'll probably get shot a few times trying to do this. It's not a hard firefight, it's just, it can go on a little bit longer than you anticipate and you'll get shot, potentially. But I'm going to show you a really nice way to do this. So from the start, I like to hide out over here on this left side and shoot everyone as they come along. Of course, since I'm still trying to use a very crappy pistol, I'm not going to have a really good shot a lot of the time in order to get these guys, so we just make do with what we have. Now here, there's going to be a spawn of enemies here. Now I like to use the explosive barrels here in order to blow up a good portion of them as they come over. I think I got 2 different dudes. Yeah, nice. So I know that there are 3 guys that are supposed to come over here, so I'm waiting for that last AK dude, and I try blind firing him, which doesn't work. Almost gets me killed, but that's okay. We got him in the end, that's all that matters. Survival is more important than ammo to me at this point. And once we get here, there's going to be one dude that comes around. There he is. Yeah, get him. Yeah. And there's going to be a China Lake dude that's a little bit elevated above us, so make sure you get him. Now from here, we're pretty safe for now. Now we need to trigger the next wave of enemies, and this can potentially get you killed, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to first pick up some ammo first, and then once we get to that next little chest-high wall over there, the one that's right there, there you go, see? All the enemies spawn. Now from here, we're just going to shoot everyone, and it's going to be all fine hunky-dory. You could go up on that elevated ledge that's over there to the right to grab that dude's China Lake, and I think you get 3 shots with it on brutal difficulty. So it could be worthwhile to go up there, grab it, then quickly come back down and get all of those dudes in there, especially because of the fact that the explosive range of the grenade launcher will make it so that you can hit people from relatively far ranges. The problem that I usually have with it, though, is that I'm used to playing games like Resident Evil 5 where the actual exploding range is really big, and the grenade launcher projectile itself is really good. The explosive range, though, is pretty bad, so it's not going to do as much work as you want it to, but it's a pretty good weapon if you want to shoot it somewhere. Hopefully you get a stagger and then shoot them later. This wall is just really screwing up my shots. Come on, wall. Be a bro. Thank you. I think there are 2 people left. There's that guy and then there's one more dude in there, I believe. I'm not quite so sure. I'm being an idiot. Come on, Chris. You better not get shot after all that work you just did. By the way, the checkpoint is still all the way back at the dock, after we landed with Elena. So if you die at any point here, you have to go all the way back and do all those fights all over again. So definitely not the best thing to have happen to you in the middle of a run. You really don't want to have to do that run back again. Nice. But I'm fairly certain all the enemies are dead at this point. Yeah, all of them are dead. So everything's nice and fine. We're basically done with the chapter at this point. There's going to be a transition coming up here real quick. I actually forgot where I was supposed to go. And I ran around here for like 15 minutes. As you can see, I'm like, I have no idea where to go. And I had a transition because I literally spent like 2 minutes trying to figure out where I was supposed to go. So it wasn't my most glorious moment, so I just decided to edit it out because you guys don't need to see that nonsense. But there's going to be an enemy over here on the switch that you need to open up for the gate. So we're just going to kill him, and then we're going to proceed onward to the end of the chapter. So I'd like to thank all you guys for watching. Tune in next time for when we do Chapter 9 for Brutal Difficulty. And I hope you all have a fantastic day, and happy gaming.